Peace, family. How you doing? Good morning, Mr. Arthur here at Currency Morning Podcast Place. Today is Monday, August 22nd. Yes, it is a new week. It is a new day. It is a new time for you to adjust, adapt, and create and recreate the who that you are and be consistent at doing it in order to make significant change. So definitely thank you guys for being here. Like always, we will always start in gratitude, and I will always start with the greatest of appreciation for you because you don't have to be here. You can be anywhere right now, especially at 7:30 in the morning. But I want to draw you in and communicate with you about something. Peace. Good morning, Miss Selena. Communicate with you about something that hit home for me, and it's something that we all have the ability to do, which is redemption. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it because I got something to do today, but I definitely want to hit all these key points to let us know what redemption is, and how redemption is important to us. But before we do all that, the one thing that I definitely want you to do is make sure you take this live and share it, because there is someone that is going to be touched by this, and someone that is going to be touched by redemption and what redemption is. Peace. Good morning, Mr. Bowens. Good morning, Miss Janae. So let's go ahead and jump into it about redemption. So as you can see, redemption is a choice. Redemption isn't something that just happens all of a sudden, but redemption is a choice that you choose to do. So for those that's new to the platform, you're going to get definitions, you're going to get the etymology of it, the origin. You're going to get two colors, or we're going to invert it. It's either going to be white over red or red over white. So let's go in with the definition. So the definition of redemption is the act of regaining or gaining possession of something in exchange for payment or clearing a debt. So what I want you to pay attention to on this one is the action of regaining or gaining possession. So redemption, now we're talking about the psychological redemption, the emotional side of redemption. The reason why I put this definition of redemption in there is because sometimes redeeming something is you clearing a debt. But I wanted you to focus on the action of regaining or gaining possession, gaining your traction back, gaining or reclaiming your time back, creating and constructing and changing what it is that you want to do in order for you to make it better, not just for you. You may be able to make it better for your children, or make it better for a business partner, or make it better for your community, because you have to take action in regaining or gaining that possession. So the second definition of redemption, it says to act or make something better or more acceptable. And the inversion on this is white over red. And the reason why I did white over red and I didn't keep the more acceptable part, because not everyone is going to accept your redemption. Not everyone is going to understand the nature or the purpose behind your redemption, because it is not up to them to accept it. It is completely up to you. And that's what I had it in there as the act of making something better, because to make it better, meaning you're doing it within reason and you're doing it for a true intent and a purpose on why that redemption needed to be done, on why you need to redeem yourself, on why you need to continue to fight for what it is that you want to fight for, on why you wanted to mend that broken relationship or to mend that broken heart, because you're making it better. The act of making it better. And the reason why it says the act of, that means because there is action behind it. It is not just words. It is not just you conceptualizing on what you want to be done to make better, but is you actually understanding that it takes a action in order for something to be repaired. And you're not doing it to make it acceptable for others, but you're doing it to make it better, not just for you, but you're doing it to make it better for who you need to change or what you need to change as well. So let's tap into the etymology of redemption. So the root word of redemption is Latin for redemption. Now, if I'm wrong, cool. However you want to see it, however you want to say it. So the Latin and the root word for redemption is Latin, and it says a buying back or oft, a releasing, a ransoming, also bribery. So now let's think about that from a psychological standpoint. The redemption of something can be releasing. That is you releasing it from you because you have found yourself in some sort of mental confinement, or you have been ransoming yourself out, or finding yourself in a mental state where you feel like it's hard for you to release it. So you're ransoming your own happiness. You have held yourself ransom because you feel that someone feel a certain way, so therefore you're not going to reach out. You're not releasing it, so you don't seek forgiveness, so you're holding on to that. You're ransoming your own happiness, and you're ransoming your own hurt and pain for ransom. And it's like bribery. And I say it's like bribery because it's like you have to tell yourself, like, man, I got to do better. I have to. I know there's something different that I have inside of me. I'm stronger than this. You're like bribing yourself, like, I need to go forgive this person. I need to do something different if I'm ever going to make it better. Right? That's why you feel that particular way when you're talking about redeeming yourself. Like, even if you're playing in a game or something like that, you're holding your victory for ransom. You're holding the championship for ransom until you go back and to release whatever happened in the first quarter. The second quarter is going to look like the first because you haven't released what happened previously. It may take you to bribe yourself to tell you that you got it. It may take you to recommit yourself to tell you that what was done, but what will be done in the future, it will be changed and it will be different. So now we're going to break up the word redemption from the etymology standpoint. And I think when you look at it this way, as it breaks up from the etymology, it really was an aha moment for me at the same time. So what is going on? All right, let me go back because this thing is tripping. All right, so redemption as it's breaking up. So it says the re of the redemption from the etymology is re plus emir. It says to take, buy, gain, or procure. Sometimes you may have to take yourself out of that element in order for you to look at it from a different perspective. Right? Because the only way that you feel, or the only way that you see redemption is that you have to look at it from a different perspective. You have to face the fear that maybe it is me. So let me take myself out and look at it. I might be able to buy myself some time when I do self-correction. And even after and through redemption, you may gain more because you took the time out to look at it for what it is and not look at it for what it was, because for what it was, it happened in the past. But if you're ever going to move on and move forward in a direction that is progressive, you gain more after you have redeemed yourself, after you have redeemed that level of confidence that you have. Then you're able to procure, you're able to do it more, you're able to often do it more and more and over again. So now let's venture off into the D part. The re, we already said in the D of redemption, is from the old Latin. It says the general sense to release, repurchase, or deliverance. Now, the general purpose set to release is like asking for forgiveness. If you ever want to seek redemption, there has to be a level of forgiveness that you're going to have to deal with if there ever is going to be a change. If there's ever going to be a newness, if there ever is going to be a restructure or a redesign, there has to be some sort of release, whether you're releasing it and letting it go, or you're releasing it and say, you know what? I probably could have said something different. My reaction probably could have been different. Or let's flip it this way. My reaction could have been different. Let's take out the word probably. Don't add the word maybe, and let's just look at it for what it is. My reaction could have been different. The content of what I said was true in nature, but my delivery could have been more polished. I could have allowed, or I could have had a much faster deliverance in it if I would have done this thing. So when you look at redemption, there is deliverance in redemption. There is release in redemption. This is why we feel this way when we look at the word redemption. When we go back to the etymology and the origin of it, there is a release that happens. So now the M of redemption is Proto-Indo-European root, meaning to take or distribute. So let's look at it from this way. After the redemption is done, you have absorbed the pain that you felt, and you redistribute the pain, and you give it a new purpose. After the redistribution of pain, you repackaged it, and now you've created a newness in what you're doing and a newness in the actions that you take. Because I knew that I have caused pain. So now in the redemption phase of it, I redistribute that pain and give it a new passion. I give it a new life. I give it a new light. So therefore, the redemption takes place after the distribution of the pain or the distribution of the problem. The redemption would take place. So now let's take a quick deep dive in redemption. First of all, I want you to understand that redemption is real. Right? Redemption is real. I mean, you probably haven't heard the song, especially the song. 'Cause honestly, when I was thinking of redemption, I went back and listened to Bob Marley's Redemption song. And when he says to free yourself from mental slavery, a lot of times that's where we are when we are so reluctant in knowing, understanding that if we're ever going to be or to have some sort of redemption, there is a mental slavery that takes place. Redemption is so real because it's in our success. Redemption is in our peace. Redemption is in our purpose. And oftentimes it is revealed through people or things. You know, whether or not we think that we need it or not, redemption will always be at some point that is going to be relevant in our lives. And we have to understand it because it may show up as something we have a personal need for, or it can show up as something that someone close to us is struggling with. Whether they're struggling with it or not, we have to understand that redemption does come into play. Most of the time is due because of some sort of painful choice that we made. And the choice that we have this polished character that people see, and this reputation that we try to hold on for so long. And because we try to hold on to this polished and this structured reputation, that means that we hold on to that shame and guilt because we don't want anybody to see our pain. We don't want anybody to know what we're going through. But the funny thing And that is, redemption is not a made up idea. It actually exists. It's like swallowing that hard pill. And because we swallowed a hard pill, we have to understand that there's an elephant in the room now. You can't go buy redemption on Amazon or Walmart. So because there's an elephant in the room, we have to understand that we have to face it. We have to be so honest and open with how we're seeking this thing. Because redemption does not always have to look complete. Redemption can look real ugly. But as long as you made the choice to choose redemption, it does not matter how ugly you start, as long as you finish, as long as you complete it. Because those people that we hurt is the people that we can still go back to and ask for forgiveness. Because redemption is really worth it. And when you look at it from a larger scale, it's worth it because that person that we're seeking redemption from, or the you that you seek redemption for yourself, is worth it in the end, because it's worth fighting for. It's worth the peace that it brings. It's worth the humbleness that happens and takes place, because we've made a choice to make it better. Because choice is a pivot, right? And the reason why choice is a pivot, because you're either going to do this or you're going to do that. You're either going to go to the left or you're going to go to the right. You're going to go up or you're going to go down. Whatever it is, the redemption is still a choice. And the pivot is on the path that leads us to making that choice different and to make that choice better. Because if you don't make the choice to seek out redemption, you're going to continue to stay in that same pain. You're going to continue to stay in that same hole. You're going to continue to stay with those same feelings, those same levels of anxiety, because you didn't choose to redeem at the moment where redemption should have been sought after. Make the right choice. Because in redemption, there are two words that I want you to pay attention to. Because when you're dealing with redemption, these two words are important: revival and restoration. Because the definition of revival isn't important in the condition or strength of something. Improvement, because it is an improvement in the strength or the conditioning of something, because you've paid attention that a revival is happening because of the redemption that you sought after, or because you acted out and you was actively engaged on or changing that thing, there is a revival that happens after that. Because you start to what? Feel different. You start to feel good. The conditions are changing, or the conditions has changed, because you seek action in the restoration of the relationship, or you chose action in the active component of what it was that you sought after to change. There is a newness in the relationship. Now, it might not be back like you want it to be, but at least it's better than what it was. And because there was a revival, then there has to be a restoration, right? Because restoration is the act or restoring to a healthy condition. Like we found in the definition of redemption, the act of, that means there are actions and activities that take place in order for you to restore something to a healthy condition. And the last thing that I want you to pay attention to. Now, this one for me, it definitely hit home, because redemption gives you hope. I'm going to tell you why redemption gives you hope. No matter how many times doors are closed in your life, how many times doors shut you out, or how many times people say no, as long as you keep fighting for that yes, as long as you do something bigger, better, and greater, there's hope. Because sometimes when we look for something, we may just end up finding it. But what if you never looked for hope? Because you never look for hope, how do you know that there's change around the corner for you? Because you wanted to stay in your sorrow, you wanted to stay in sulking, you wanted to stay in your tears, you wanted to stay in that pain. But remember, when you redistribute the pain, you can redistribute pain when you seek for hope, when you hunt for the good stuff, when you look at the great part that you're still alive, that you still have a job, that you still have love. Something that I was thinking about this morning as I was running was the highest form of understanding is love. When you seek out the highest form of understanding, that means that you have taken yourself and you've made it not about you, but you took the opportunity to love someone else. Right? And because you've loved someone else, that means that you still have love for the intentions of hope. And because the intentions of hope give you the ability to empower your restoration period or to empower your revival period, it will definitely allow you to be redeemed because you're working on it. You're working on it with true intent, and you're working on it with strong, and you have courage. So there's three things, and I found this out this weekend, and I love the message with it and the message behind it. There was a man, he was with his daughter, and he had three things. He had a potato, he had an egg, and he had a coffee bean. Now, we're talking about redemption, and I want you to pay attention to it. He had 3 pots. All of them had boiled water. So he took the potato and he put the potato in the boiling water. He took the egg and he took the egg in the boiling water. He took the coffee beans and he grinded it up and they put it in boiling water. All 3 of them had conditions. What was the condition? That's an open, honest question, so you can answer it. All of them was placed in boiling water. Every last one of them. The potato, the egg, and the coffee bean. So what happens if you put a potato in boiling water? I want you to think about it. What happens when you put a egg, not a boiled egg, but an egg in boiling water? And what happens when you take a coffee bean and you grind it up and you put it in boiling water? Since no one is answering, I'm going to tell you why. All of them was placed in a condition. Every last one of them was placed in a particular condition. They was placed in a stressful condition. They was placed in boiling water. It's going to feel hot. The conditions are going to be set for you, and you're going to feel something. So, of course, the potato, when you put the potato in boiling water, what happens to the potato? The potato does what? It gets soft. The natural ability, the natural part of the potato is hard. and you put it in the boiling water, and the conditions that the water places on the potato gets soft. Then you have the egg. The shell of the egg is hard, but inside it's soft. But then when you put the conditions of the egg, or the conditions that is surrounding the egg does what? The egg gets hard. It becomes hardened because of the conditions, because of the heat, because of the water, because of the pressure. The egg gets hard. But then when you take the coffee bean gets grinded up. People say, you grind my gears. Whatever. It gets grinded up and then gets placed in the water, in the conditions, in the heat, in the situations, in the hell, and all of that stuff inside of the water goes on, just like it did in the potato, just like it did with the egg, and it's doing it again with the coffee bean. But the coffee bean went through more conditions than the other two items. It was grinded up, it was mashed up, it was put into a very harsh situation and thrown into the water again. But now what happens to the coffee bean? I don't care what happened to you. You've got a double dose of hell. You got a double dose of pain. You got a double dose of condition. You got a double dose of the lack of love. You got a double dose of the lack of attention. But the thing that made the coffee bean different than it did the egg and then it did the potato, the coffee still can come out sweet. The coffee can still come out and provide a substance. The coffee can still wake you up. The coffee is still a natural diuretic, so it can flush away the hurt and it can flush away the pain and it can relieve you and it can wake you up. So what am I telling you? No matter what you go through, no matter what you're dealing with, no matter how many times you got mashed and grind up, no matter how much water that you found yourself in, you do have the ability to redeem yourself. You can still come out sweet. You don't have to conform from the softness of the yolk in the egg, and then you get inside of this tough situation and then you become hardened. Or you're so hard in the shell and they throw you into conditions of the water and then you become softened. But you can still redeem yourself. Redemption is only around the corner for those who are looking for it. I'm going to say that again. Redemption is only around the corner for those who seek it. Redemption is only around a corner for those who seek hope. Redemption is only around a corner for those who seek change. Redemption is only around a corner for those who seek life. Redemption is only around a corner for those who understand that there is a revival and the restoration that need to take place if there is going to be a change, not just in my life, but if there is going to be a change within the lineage that I carry. Redemption is around a corner for those who seek to be redeemed. All right, I'm gonna let that go because I got something to do. Man, y'all be blessed. Y'all be blessed. And remember, tomorrow, I'll see you in the morning, right here, live at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. You're going to go back and do the replay. You're going to be able to find it on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, also on Spotify, on Anchor, as well as Facebook Podcasts. Y'all be blessed. See you tomorrow, 7:30, here at Consistency is Currency. Peace.